Hey guys, welcome back to another Texas All Outdoors video. As you can tell, I don't know if you can see me or not, but I am sweating. It is hot out today. It's high 90s, real humid here in central PA. And me and Cody just realized summer's gonna be here in a few weeks. And we know that some of you guys are wondering what to throw in the summer. What's the best baits to be using for big summer bass? And today, me and Cody are going to be showing you guys our top 5 baits for catching bass in the summertime. There's one. There's one.
Doubled up. We doubled up.
Got him.
No! No! No!
George.
Alright guys, so for my number 5 summer bass fishing bait is the chatterbait. And the reason I like the chatterbait is because in the summertime, the weeds really start growing up. So there's always going to be an edge of weeds, and that's where the bass like to kind of hang out. And if you throw a chatterbait out there, the extra kind of chattering it makes in the water and the flashing the blade makes kind of gets in a reaction strike sometimes if they're on their beds or if they're just kind of chilling along that edge of weeds. So that's my number 5.
Alright guys, so for my number 5 summertime bait, I'm going to have to go with a realistic looking swim bait. This here is a live target bluegill swim bait I have here. The reason I like a realistic swim bait in the summertime is because early summer, late spring, right around here, like right now actually, bass are starting to get on beds and stuff, and they absolutely hate bluegills and little fish getting on their beds. And if you put one of these on their beds nose down like this, it does get a lot of bites. I have some other baits here. That was a live target. These are storm. They're a little bit smaller, but I don't know why, but they hate those little fish. They're probably trying to steal their eggs or something, and you will get a lot of bites if you throw those on those early summertime bass beds.
Alright, so for my number 4 summertime bass fishing bait, it's going to have to be the realistic swim bait, just like Jacob said. And he kind of went over it already. It's going to go, if you run this over their beds, kind of nose down, they get really mad at these little fish for whatever reason, stealing their eggs or whatever. But another thing you can do with these, I know we live somewhat close to a pretty big lake here, Raystown Lake. And I know I fished that last summer, and I used this swim bait right here, and it kind of resembles a shad. And after the bass are done spawning and come off their beds, they're going to go to deeper water to try and stay cool. And these swim baits right here, this is actually a storm, have pretty big weights in them, and you can get them down like that, down deep to reach them bass that are trying to cool off. So that's my number 4.
All right, guys, so for my number 4 summertime bait, I'm going with a topwater prop bait. This is a nice little bait I like to use. This is a Hedon tiny torpedo, they call this. It's like in a frog colorway there. This little back prop here will spin, and it gives it a little action while you reel it in across the water. You will catch bigger fish on this little guy, but obviously you'll catch some smaller ones on this little guy. I like to throw this when I know there's not that big a bass in a pond or something that I'm fishing. This is an awesome bait from the creek as well. They just get a lot of bites in the summertime, and I like throwing these because they have treble hooks. I only throw them if there's I don't throw them around lily pads or anything like that. And you know, in the summertime, that's when stuff starts growing up, so I won't throw it around any high grass or anything. But if I'm on a rocky edge or something like that, I'll throw these little topwater baits on top of them. I also like to throw this Berkeley Chopo. I actually like the Berkeley Chopos better than the classic Whopper Plopper because they have this plastic back and it's more durable, and I think it gives off a lot more action on top of the water. Cody actually caught a really nice smallmouth in a creek last year. It wasn't like huge or anything, but for our creek that we were fishing, it was a very big smallmouth. It's actually the one that's in our intro. He actually lost it in the tree on the very next cast, and that was the cast he caught that fish on was actually his first ever cast with that bait. So that's a $8 bait down the drain. But these really are killer for summertime, late afternoon, early morning topwater bites. And like I said, don't throw them around any vegetation or anything like that. It's better to stick with somewhere where you can get them across the water without getting anything stuck in them treble hooks.
Guys, so for my number 3 summertime bass fishing bait, it's gonna have to be the buzz bait. And the buzz bait is really fun to throw on those kind of overcast summer mornings where, I mean, the temperature really doesn't matter, but overcast matters, because when it's sunny, for some reason the bass don't like to bite topwater a lot when it's sunny. But overcast days, we have a lot of success with these buzz baits, and it doesn't matter if you're throwing it on a lake or a pond or even a creek or river. And I know Jacob kind of doesn't have a lot of luck with these. As you could see the other day in our pond hopping video, he couldn't get hooked up with a bass. They'd bite it, but he couldn't get hooked up. So I don't know what his problem is, but I love throwing these buzz baits.
So for my number 3 summertime bass bait, I'm going to go with these craw style baits here. Really any type of Texas rig craw bait. I love throwing in the summertime. I don't know why. On like edges of reeds and stuff like that, I get a lot of bites. This is a bandito bug. These are great bait from the Guggen baits, and this is more realistic craw here. I actually will Texas rig this sometimes, but I actually throw this on a Ned rig sometimes in the creeks, and I get a lot of bites on these. These are from our good friends over at Liquid Mayhem, and this here's a structure bug from Rage Tail Strike King. I actually caught my first bass of the year on this bait right here. This is actually it's like 2 different colors on the front and back. It's a really cool bait, and I like throwing these on a Texas rig. And I also like throwing those Gene LaRue up there. It's a beaver style bait. Any beaver style bait I like throwing on a Texas rig. But my number 3 bait for the summertime is any type of Texas rigged or even this Ned rig craw here. I don't know why I like throwing them along reed edges like that, and that's pretty much it, but I get a lot of bites doing that, and that's my number 3 summertime bait.
Alright, so for my number 2 summertime bass fishing bait, it's kind of a broad category, but I like to throw worms, and there's a ton of different styles of worms you can do, I know that, but the 2 that I really like to throw is the ribbontail worm and the Senko or stick style bait like I have here. And the ribbontail worm you can do a lot of stuff with. You can shaky head, fish it on a shaky head. You can Texas rig it. You can do all kinds of stuff. And the stick style bait, you can also do everything you can do with the ribbontail worm, but you can also wacky rig it. And the wacky rig really seems to work around where we live. We live by a local creek that has a lot of smallmouth. And we also live by the Juniata River, and it works great in there. So my number 2 is the worm.
All right, guys, so for my number 2 summertime bait for bass, it's going to be pretty similar to Cody's, and that is any type of ribbontail worm or creature bait. Creature bait meaning like lizards and stuff like that, not like crawls or everything, because I just covered that, but creature baits like lizards and ribbontail worms. The reason they're so high on my list is because I actually only throw baits like this in the summer. Any time of year other than that, I don't really get any real good bites on them. But these ribbontails will really take off bass, and I like to rig them on a shaky head like this. This is actually an excavator shaky head. I don't know if you guys have heard of them before, but it's like a screw-on up there, and then I just weedless rig it here on the bottom. And I actually caught a couple bass today. Me and Cody went fishing before this on this bait, and I love throwing these on beds and stuff like that in early summertime and late summertime. I'll actually even sometimes swim these. If you just swim them, I can get some bites, and they're a lot of fun to throw. So my number 2 summertime bass bait is definitely going to be any type of ribbontail worm or creature bait like lizards.
Alright guys, so for my number 1 favorite summertime bass fishing bait, it's going to have to be the spinner bait. And the reason for that is because a spinner bait works pretty much anywhere. You can throw them in ponds, you can throw them in lakes, you can throw them in even rivers, and they'll catch a ton of species other than bass as well. But the bass seem to love these. I like to throw them along weed edges, and along, if you have a lake with a big dam, they work well along the rocks in the dam. And even in ponds where there's a lot of muck, you hit that edge of the muck, and that's where the bass like to hang out a lot of times. So you can throw them just straight out the box with the skirt. You can also put some trailers on it. I actually have a Kitech swim bait on this one, and I mean they're pretty versatile, and I love to throw the spinner bait.
Alright guys, so for my number one summertime bass bait, it's hands down a hollow body frog. The reason for that is because, as a lot of fishermen know, in the summertime, lily pads, weeds, tall grass, reeds even, grow up tremendously during the summer. And for some reason, during the summer, there's always a period of time where hollow body frogs, no matter what kind you're throwing, will just demolish bass. Here's an example. This is a lunker hunt frog. It actually has the little legs on there. Another frog I like to throw is just a normal hollow body frog with a little skirt on the back for legs. And I like to trim them about the length of the frog for the legs. And I also like to throw a popping frog like this one. I don't really mess around with the colors too much. I usually just try to go for something more natural like these two. But I will get if it's a good price, I'll get a random color sometimes. There's other videos you can get into where they'll tell you what's good when you're picking colors and stuff like that. But for the summertime, when the stuff is growing up on lily pads, stuff like that, throwing a frog is definitely one of the most fun ways to catch fish, and honestly one of the best ways to catch fish. And that's definitely, hands down, my number one summertime bait. Alright guys, so now we're actually going to do a bonus round. If you watched our springtime bass bait video where we told you our top 5 spring bass baits, I actually said my number one bait was a Senko, and my Senkos are like my favorite bait all year round. It's my number one summer bait too, but I didn't say that in this video just because I wanted to show you guys like strictly summer baits that I like to throw. And the Senko is my favorite bait all year round, spring, summer, fall. So if you want to watch that video, you can go check it out on our channel. But yeah, Senkos are just my number one all year round, and I didn't want to put it in this video because I already said that before. But Cody actually has a very special bonus weight bait that he wants to talk about.
Yeah, so we went fishing today before this video, and I actually tried out a brand new bait, never used before, and that was my fingers.
Yeah, it's good. Using this culprit ribbon-tail worm here from Culprit, and
Bro, no way.
What?
There's a bass sitting right here.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
No! No! No!
Bro, are you serious? Did you see him sitting right there?
No!
He was literally
I saw him like try to swim away when you freaking grabbed him. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You caught him and put him there or something.
My bait is still out in the water.
Where was he? Right in here.
Right there. Right. He was right there.
Dude, it's literally like a foot deep right here on the edge.
What the actual heck? That is awesome. I gotta get a picture.
Alright. I'm speechless.
If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like below and comment anything you want to comment about the video. Comment what your favorite summer bass bait is to throw, and give us a sub. We're trying to grow the channel here. We've only had this channel going for about 4 months, and we're very happy with all the subscribers we've been gaining lately, and we're very thankful for you guys. You guys really do make this a lot of fun to make these videos and hear you guys' response back to us, and it's nice knowing that somebody cares about what we're doing and the work we're putting in to make these videos. But we hope you guys learned something from this video. This is our top 5 spring bass baits, and we'll see you next time
On Texas All Outdoors.